Hello, and welcome to this week's Schreiber Council meeting. Council is considering moving to online voting systems for the next municipal election. A delegation from New Vote Systems will be making a presentation to inform Council of the benefits and possible risks of such a move. An Earth Day event is being organized for the end of this month, with an emphasis on reducing household waste in an effort to prolong the life of the landfill site. And shipping containers are becoming an issue, with many residents wishing to use these for property storage. Tonight's agenda is up next. Thank you for watching.
Recording in progress.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Council and Committee of the Whole meeting on March 25th, 2025. First of all, I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we're in Robinson Superior Treaty Territory and that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and the Métis. Can I have approval of the agenda? I do have one add-on under department reports and committee board meetings. This is an Ottawa expenditure and approval to proceed, so that'll be number 17 under Committee of the Whole department reports. Anybody else? Hearing none, do we have any disclosures of interest for tonight's agenda? Okay, hearing none, we do have one delegation tonight, and it's Mr. Human, New Vote Systems Incorporated Electronic Voting for the 2026 municipal election. I'll let you take it from here, Rhonda.
Hi, Matthew.
Hi, Rhonda. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak to council. Pleasure to meet everyone.
Okay.
Go ahead, Matthew.
So my name is Matthew Human. I'm the founder and CEO of New Vote Systems Incorporated. We are a full-service election service company headquartered in Toronto, Ontario, with offices in Kitchener, Ontario, as well as Richmond Hill. We've worked with Rhonda previously when she was part of the Ignace Township for their 2022 election, where we provided online voting and voter management services. I reached out to Rhonda, and we've been discussing assisting Schreiber for the 2026 municipal election. And I'm here to just answer any questions and provide any feedback that I can from my end. So I'll pause there, and if there's any questions right off the bat.
So, Matthew, council is not quite aware of exactly what your company does or offers. We haven't got into that part of it yet. So Matthew does online voting services. So right now it's traditionally in Schreiber, from what we understand, to be vote in person, where rather than have the vote in person and having to hire DROs, like deputy returning officers, to count the votes, take the votes, it would be done electronically. And then Matthew's company would take care of the tallying and the recording of the votes versus the human, which takes out, any opportunity for people to say miscounted votes or ballots were spoiled. It's a much cleaner system. It's very quick. It's very efficient. We do have Matthew's stuff in the council package later. But does anybody have questions about how it works or any thoughts?
So anybody that's a landowner outside the community is not here to vote, their vote will be counted now.
That's correct.
Yeah, so that'd be an update.
Right, so it gives people the ability. What we found when we did it at the last election was We had a lot of residents in the area that owned cottages per se, or summer homes, or people that worked at the mine, so they were 2 or 3 weeks out, 2 or 3 weeks in, who would not be there for election day. So this allowed them to do it from their cell phone, from their tablet, from their laptop, and we had a really high participation rate. So it worked out very well for us.
Would they only be able to do that on election day?
No.
Okay.
So we had it, the last election, Matthew, was 2 weeks prior, I think we opened it?
That's correct, Rhonda. Yeah, we ran 2 weeks prior, and just to provide some more context, Ignace, of course, I'm sure you're familiar with it, is a small town. They had never done any sort of electronic mechanism in an election previously, and they went strictly from a paper ballot in-person voting experience to a completely digital experience. And we maintained a 68.9% voter turnout rate for the township, which was slightly above what they had experienced in previous elections, just a little bit. I'm not trying to claim that we managed to, a massive increase or anything, but it really shows that, it can be adopted effectively. We worked hand in hand with the town clerk's office, Ron included, to both do voter education, communications at the local radio station, and address any voters' concerns that they had with the process to make sure that everyone felt very comfortable and the process was well understood throughout the community.
So Matthew, outside of Ignace, what other communities do you have in Northwestern Ontario?
Northwestern right now, while we are re-engaged with Ignace, Schreiber, Pickle Lake is another potential. We haven't, I think that still needs to go through council approval at this time. Across the Ontario province, we manage Cambridge, Ontario. We are prospectively working with Hamilton. We managed their by-election in January of this year. We work with the Northwest Territories at the provincial level, as well as Prince Edward Island at the provincial level, and we manage the entire election systems for the province of Manitoba as well. Just to be clear, Manitoba does not do online voting. We deploy around 700 tabulator machines for the province, as well as logistics, asset management, and full election services and support.
So the reason that we thought this was the time to bring it up, I know the election is still, a year and a bit away, but now's the time to plan, and you will, like, if Schreiber was to make the change from the current voting method, you would have to almost book a company like Matthews now to assist before they get booked up for that election, right? Because everybody votes on the same day across the province, so he's a busy feller.
I get. My question would be, okay, to do the online voting, I get that for 2 weeks leading up, but could you do, I'm not quite sure what you call it, but the tabulation machines, like if somebody wanted on election day, go to where we normally vote, and would you have a tabulation machine there that you could say vote the old way, and it would, you feed your paper or whatever in, and it calculates it at the end of the night?
Absolutely. There's no standard prescribed way to run an election for any jurisdiction. It really what makes sense for your particular community. So when we engage with any community, we really sit down and we want to understand both the voters' expectations, the council and the election body and city clerk's office expectations. We want to figure out what makes the most sense. So with Ignace, for example, with their first election, they had reached out to us very close to the end of the if you remember, the Premier had extended the ability to select an election system quite late into 2022, actually, because of the COVID impact, etc. And so we engaged with Ignace quite late, and it did create some frustration while trying to manage it, because there was a third-party data voter management service that the town had utilized that was difficult to get, to run this point. Near the end, that home stretch before election day, things can, you want to make sure that everything's pre-planned, things can get a little left field if you don't have proper planning in place. So we did not create a fallback plan, which was the paper ballot system, which you described as probably the best method for that sort of, voting on election day. So I'm not here to tell you what the best system is. I'm here to learn from your community what would make the most sense. But again, we supply election services across a variety of spectrums, including telephone, vote by mail, tabulators, in-person voting the manual way, as well as online services as well. So it's all about what makes the most sense for both the community as well as the city clerk to manage the election.
Can you do a mixture of both is what I'm like,
So,
could you do, say, 2
Oh,
weeks?
yeah, for sure.
2 weeks
Yes.
of online voting and then election day do tabulation voting?
or in-person voting.
In tabulation.
Absolutely.
And with
Absolutely,
that,
yeah.
and so would that be in line with the, what you've already quoted? If you did to the two system?
I think if you request a tabulation machine, like how many voters are in Schreiber? What's your expected voter, registered voter list?
I don't know, 600?
Yeah, I would say.
With the quote that I provided, that's strictly for online. If you needed a tabulator, we can send one up, but that would be an additional charge. I'll be honest with you. I think the 600 voters, could just do it on a manual paper ballot process with some privacy screens and a ballot box, which we're happy to support with that. I don't think you need a machine for that. What we did see with Ignace, because of the adoption of such a high number of voters with the online system, you may only end up with 20, 50 maybe votes being cast by paper. A machine is, a person could count that almost just as fast as a machine could at that point. So the only difference is scrutineers would be present and so on and so forth. But I don't think you need the additional technology for your community. My suggestion, whatever makes you feel most comfortable though.
Okay.
Actually, just on a quick note, part of our policy is that we always implement business continuity and disaster recovery planning. So even though we are, let's say we completely go with online, we would make the recommendation as the vendor that you implement a paper ballot backup policy, maybe 100 ballots just as a redundancy option. In a complete failover event, the internet goes out, electricity's gone, so on and so forth. In lieu of enacting emergency measures, this would allow you to notify your community to come into a local voting center and cast their ballots by hand. So you're actually killing two birds with one stone here by enacting that voting day option with the paper ballots. You are actually implementing the disaster recovery policy in the exact same way. So it's a perfect and seamless operation at that point.
Just from my experience, I'll tell council that the day of the election, it was the smoothest. As crazy as it may have seemed, it was so just like clockwork. And when it came close to the time for the polls to close, we had brought all the candidates or their scrutineer or their proxy into council chambers, sat them down. Matthew tabulated the votes, put it up on the screen. The results were revealed right then and there. Everybody said their congratulations, and we were out of there in 15 minutes. It was the smoothest election night ever.
But if we had some paper ballots, you would just hand enter those.
Correct.
And so my last question would be, in the case of where you've got Councillor 4 and Councillor 5, and there's only 10 votes separating them, how's a recount done?
Very good.
So our system, and part of the reason that was really unique to Ignace, online voting, if you're not aware, in Ontario has been permitted under the MEA since around 2003 or so. I think Markham, Ontario was the first town to adopt it, but since then it has quickly grown to the most predominant form of voting outside the city of Toronto by far. Out of the 444 municipalities, around 375 are expected to implement online voting across the province on election day in October. If you've ever attended or AMO or AMC2, you may have heard that this is a quickly, high adoption rate for this method due to the reasons Rhonda mentioned. Historically, it was a quite simple method where it's very similar to like a homeowners association or board meeting where you go, you make a selection, and a lot of municipalities in Ontario still use that process. A company that maybe just offers a very simple sort of implementation of online voting. Over the years, though, as we, I founded my company in 2017, we did it on the belief that to advance, access to democracy, to put it bluntly, the technology needed to meet the strict criteria of higher level election use. So our system differentiates from what you may expect with online voting or may have even used before in providing a cryptographic audit trail of each and every vote. Last year, there was a standards body that was published called the DGSI Municipal Online Voting in Ontario Standards. And in that document, it refers to a term called end-to-end verifiability, which is a recommendation which we actually used in Ignace in 2022. And again, what this means is you don't just get the results when we hand in the tabulated results of the election. We hand you in a number of different data points and evidence that can be analyzed or audited by a third party to confirm that the system was both unimpeded by any sort of outside actor and that each and every vote was counted accurately. There's three core tenets of this technology that are academic and research and go back years and years and decades. And it's cast as recorded, recorded as cast, and then counted as recorded. And so our job as a vendor is to provide the technology that would enable the election body to provide any evidence required to accurately prove that this election happened the way it should have, and that there was a proper procedural trail of the voters signing in, the votes being counted, being cast, and then the votes being counted as they were intended to. Our system does produce a receipt for voters to verify their results, but it does not, just to be super clear, show the voter who they voted for. Under any certain terms at all, there's no way to disclose that. But this receipt is part of the evidence chain that both provides assurance to the voter. And then again, you could bring in any data scientist, and we worked with the most critical online voting critic in the country for some of the elections. He's been hired as the auditor. We've never had an issue. We've passed every audit. Again, we already work at a provincial level, and we frequently have to go under assessment from provincial level cybersecurity offices. And again, we've never had a failure. We've passed every audit, and it's something that we're very proud to be able to provide. And this has allowed us, because we've implemented this technology, to move online voting up from on municipal level in Ontario up to the provinces which we now operate. So, to put it bluntly, it's very technical, but I'm happy to provide any documentation that you would require. But essentially, any critic that really wants to press you, we have mountains of evidence that have been verified, not just by the vendor at all. We don't want you to trust us whatsoever, by third-party critics, many of whom who don't even like online voting, but still can't fault the technology that we provide.
Hey Matthew, could you walk us through how that would work, how you would vote? Like I'm sitting in front of a computer and I want to vote. How would I go about doing that?
Absolutely. So from end to end, the election process, we try to make it as seamless as possible. So the clerk would request the PLE, which is the preliminary electors list from Elections Ontario, who now manages it. That list is already consolidated with the MPAC school board codes in association to the school board. We would preload that into our voter management system, and then we would use that and then in your community, you would begin asking voters to register for the process. So typically we manage it like an absentee ballot where voters basically select or opt in. And of course, at any point in time, they can go in and vote in person on election day. But if they do register, then they're contacted, they get an email, they're followed through with the onboarding process where they can then create a secure account to log in and cast their vote. This account also allows them to go back and check the results and do a bunch of other things. Or in the case of Ignace, actually, we conducted a referendum with them in 2023 using the exact same system. And we did that because of the process, right? The community was already sort of familiar with everything, and it made it a very, very easy process to run that referendum in the community. Once they've been approved as an eligible elector, of course, just to be clear again, we don't approve electors. This would be under the responsibility of the clerk's office. We provide the system to do it, but it's up to you to manually go through and ensure that, and we do this by either ID document scan or other systems, so that the clerk would basically have complete control over who is actually an eligible elector. Now, after that's done, on election day or whenever the voting period opens up, they receive a notification. They go in, they see a little vote now button, they click it, and then the ballot is completely configurable based on your requirements. Multiple choice voting, first past the post, singular voting. We have ranked choice voting if you provide that for whatever reason. That's banned in Ontario now. And then, we have school board votes. You can vote for one of many or however the configuration needs to be. The system by default is fully available in French and English. And this system would be branded with the, township's logo and whatever other naming conventions you would like to use, up to the color scheme of the system. And it would also be, we can also work with your IT staff to make sure that the domain that the voters are seeing actually belongs to Schreiber, and we simply are parked as a subdomain in that. So that as far as anyone concerns, this is a Schreiber owned product. It's completely controlled by the clerk's office. We're simply, putting the pipes in and providing the pipes for the plumbing.
So would you go into a specific website to start the process, or?
We build up the website, and then we would just all of our data, one for one, is hosted in Canada in AWS, Amazon Web Services, and we just simply communicate with your IT staff, whoever manages your website right now, and we create a subdomain. So when a voter receives the link and they click on it, it goes to our service, but the URL would say, whatever you want it to say, like SchreiberVotes2026.com. I think Ignace was like IgnaceElection2026.ca or something like that.
So it all start just by clicking on a link?
Yeah.
I apologize, I skipped a step at the end. So after the voting is concluded, the voter would then confirm their ballot. They would click the multiple stages, and they can go back before they cast and change their selections or whatever they'd like to do. They can exit and then come back in if they don't, get distracted or something. Once they confirm their ballot and they confirm that that this is a irreversible process, the vote is cast, and then the vote receipt is both shown to the voter and then emailed to them directly. So they have a record of it themselves, along with a timestamp confirming that the vote took place at a particular time.
Just to be clear, Matthew, the reason we're asking is we have 33% of our population is over the age of 60. So that's why Councilor McGraw was asking, how will this look? Because we want to make it people friendly.
Look, Ignace was a very senior friendly community as well. I personally conducted training at Silver Lakes, and the referendum was conducted in Ignace as well too, again with a very elderly focused community. Text, this is fully AODA compliant for accessibility reasons. If they have screen enlargers or text enlargers or anything like that, the system will fully conform to that. If they have text to speech, it will work with that as well. And again, we can modify the system to certain degrees. If it makes more sense, if we wanted to enlarge certain aspects of it or buttons or something like that to make it more screen friendly. But the entire system is responsive and designed so that if a person, for whatever reason, has a phone that's configured a certain way, the website itself will reshape itself to conform to the user's device rather than the other way around.
Okay.
So one thing we did too with the senior community in Ignace was at the senior center, we did an actual mock vote, just so that they would have a chance to run through and
See what it looks
cast a vote, see what it's looked like, how to get on there, how you get your passcode, and so it worked out very well. So people who were very reluctant ended up very comfortable with using it.
Yeah, just a quick data point for this, because again, right, this has been adopted so highly in Ontario now. The highest users, and this is actually coming from Markham, which is the what we call the vanguard of online voting. They typically take the lead in a number of ways. The highest user demographic is actually 55 plus. And once a jurisdiction typically implements it, they don't want to go back to something else. I think right now Newmarket, Ontario is a really great example of this. It's a city, or it's in the GTA. It's around 70,000 people. They have been doing this, I think, for 2 election cycles now, and their current requirements, because we responded to an RFP they issued recently, was 1 voting center, and 95% of all voters now access the election via an online system. It's just, and to Rhonda's point, there's a very good feeling about being able to show the results, the unofficial results, 15 minutes after the election closes, and then everyone's going home rather than sitting there counting ballots until 1 a.m. or something like that.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, Matthew.
Thanks,
I
Matthew.
appreciate it,
Yes, thank you.
and we'll be in
Yeah,
touch.
no problem at all.
Okay, thanks a lot.
I will say, just regarding the mock vote thing too, that was a really great opportunity to both, get people familiar with it, and that's something that we would definitely recommend and provide to the community. Maybe even do it a couple times, just so that people have a high degree of comfort with what's doing. And also, we do highly recommend producing a communication channel between the clerk's office and the voters of Schreiber. Allowing them to elicit feedback and make comments too. You have a great small community that produces a very fluid sort of conversation. And then, at the end of the day, I apologize, I didn't ask who everyone was, but I'm assuming the gentleman closest to the screen is the mayor.
Yes, this is Mayor
Yeah,
Nolan,
that's
sorry.
Hi, Mayor, sorry, that's my bad.
Deputy Mayor
Um,
Anne Marie Bourgeau,
Nice to
Councillor
meet you.
Dave Morrow, Councillor Dan McGrath, and Councillor Benji Bryson sends his regrets this evening.
Fair enough. But the point the mayor made about having the in-person voting open on election day, even if they don't want to vote online, they can still come in and vote in person the same way they always have. So you're really addressing the needs of pretty much every, and the councilman was the one who made the point about this does serve the purpose of addressing voters who are just simply not present in the community at the time of the election.
Perfect.
Okay, thanks so much, Matthew.
Yes, thank you.
Always. Thank you again for having me, everyone, and thank you very much, Ron, for the invite.
Take care.
Bye.
Question period. Okay. Minutes of the previous meeting. So, resolution 83 -25. Moved by Councillor Bourgeau, second by Councillor McGrath, that the minutes of the council and committee of the whole meeting held March 11th, 2025 be accepted as circulated. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, moving on to business arising from the minutes, committee of the whole recommendations, resolution 84-25. Moved by Councillor Bourgeau, second by Councillor Morrow, that the council of the corporation of the township of Schreiber does hereby authorize Mayor Mullins and Councillor McGrath to be the voting authority at the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association 2025 conference and annual general meeting. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Resolution 85-25. Moved by Councillor McGrath, seconded by Councillor Bourgeau, that council accept the report from the treasurer regarding excluded budget expenses for 2025. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Resolution 86-25. Moved by Council Morrow, second by Council McGrath. The council received the council expense and remuneration report for the year ended December 31st, 2024. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Resolution 87 -25. Moved by Councilor Bourgeois, seconded by Councilor Morrow. That council accept the quotation from the Van Throwback in the amount of $2,800, including applicable taxes, and $500 for 2 one-night hotel rooms, including applicable taxes, to play for the July 18th, 2025 event during Heritage Days. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Resolution 88-25. Moved by Councilor McGrath, seconded by Councilor Morrow. The council accept the 2024 Section 11 annual report for the Schreiber drinking water system, the 2024 annual summary report for the Schreiber drinking water system, and the 2024 annual record of water taking report as prepared by the Ontario Clean Water Agency on behalf of the Township of Schreiber. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 89-25. Moved by Councilor Bourgeois, second by Councilor McGrath. The Council of the Township of Schreiber supports the Northern Highway Safety Plan proposed by MPP Guy Bourgeon, MPP Lise Bourgeois, and MPP Jean Van Hoof of a housing project. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Move on to accounts for payment. Resolution 90-25. Moved by Councilor Morrow, second by Councilor Bourgeois, that bank debits paid out of the general bank account in the month of January 2025 in the amount of $56,226.69, and in the month of February 2025 in the amount of $32,418.83 be approved and ratified. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Under other business, resolution 91-25. Moved by Councilor McGrath, seconded by Councilor Morrow. That bylaw 13-2025 being a bylaw to amend 40-2023, being a bylaw which authorized the execution of agreement between the Corporation of Township Schreiber and automation now be given first, second, third, and final reading and enacted. Discussion?
This is an amendment to the bylaw to allow the extra expenditures for the new damper vents. Can I ask that there's a mention of a final report from Automation Now later on in our council packages. But can I ask that administration, not the next meeting, but sometime in April or early May, give us a final financial report for the ESA project that was completed by Automation Now? Please and thank you.
Sure.
Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Resolution 92-25. Moved by Council Morrow, seconded by Council McGrath. That bylaw 14-2025 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 53-2023 being a bylaw to set fees for municipal services be given first, second, third, and final reading and enacted. Discussion?
Just, this was just to drop the fire permit fees from 30 to 20. My question is this to admin. Is the fee schedule that's currently on our website, will it be updated to reflect this change once it's filed after tonight?
Correct.
Okay, excellent, thanks.
All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 93-25. Moved by Councilor Burgeau, second by Councilor Morrow. That bylaw 15-2025 being a bylaw to adopt SOP R-14 town operated liquor events be given first, second, third, and final reading and enacted. Discussion?
This new policy, now that we've passed it, will be shared with all of the departments, right? So that
Correct.
any new event moving forward from today will follow this policy strictly.
Correct.
Okay.
All those in favor? Carried. Okay, so we'll move on to our committee of the whole portion of the meeting. Number one, the Economic Development Officer Status Report.
Okay, hello. So grant updates, there's the OTF capital grant application I submitted on March 5th, 2025. The NOHFC arena grant we just finalized last week and submitted all the paperwork for that. All of the grant statuses are the same right now. We're still waiting to hear approvals on everything else. Should start coming soon. Economic Committee, so I did finish my year one paper and everything's been accepted, so I'm completing my year one course with the University of Waterloo for economic fundamentals of economics. Our meeting for Economic Development Committee, we had our March 3rd meeting, which I attached the minutes, but also we had our meeting last night for March 24th. And our meetings went over together. We had very productive meetings. Our committee is focused right now mainly on the website, which we did a tour of last night, which is looks very well, very, very good. I think everyone's excited about it. And then also we are working on the implementation plan for the 5-year strategic plan. So the implementation plan, our group is broken down into a more detailed sheet of where the focusing just on economic responsibilities. So by the next meeting, we're gonna have everything laid out with timelines and priorities, and we will be able to start putting things into actions. So things are looking good. We're moving forward, and I'm actually very confident in the direction we're going with our committee and everything with the implementation plans. So.
It's good to hear.
Jamie, just a question on the grants. What are the grants for? Can you just give a
So the ones we're all waiting for is like our the one being submitted was like this the Senior Active Living Center. We're waiting on for funding for that. Our summer student grants. We've also put in for Experience Ontario grant to see if they can assist with some of the funding for the Heritage Days, as well as the new OTF grant that was just put in March 5th. It was actually for the baseball field renovations, like with the
Okay.
baseball sign and the PA system.
And the arena grant?
The arena was the boiler and the roof that they finished.
Okay.
So that this was just to wrap up and
Final
finalize everything that, and I did make them aware about an announcement, and they're gonna pass that on out to the people.
Okay.
Was the sound system at the arena part of the OTF one too? Or just?
No, just the two is the first, we thought it was, but you're only allowed to do one.
Okay.
They're trying to, so. Yeah.
And then your Discovery Center committee?
Yeah, so I met with Ray Jeanette, and that went really well, and I'm really looking forward to getting trained on the Discovery Center, working with him, and excited to be involved with the Discovery Center this summer. And we just went through a lot of the to-do stuff to get prepared for the summer and the opening, and he was just finalizing the last proposed member for the committee, and he's gonna submit it to the council for approval. After that, we can arrange for a first meeting. So hopefully, we're hoping like the end of this month or early May. Sorry, end of April, early May, and get things going. So, but we already have a to-do list that I have that I'm just working on to start getting prepared and have things ready when we open up. So
Okay, and the proposed date to open up,
June 1st.
June 1st. Any other questions in number one? Okay, your economic development meeting minutes. March 3rd, I guess,
Yes.
covered.
Yeah, you got that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Any questions or suggestions? Phone, or email? Yeah.
Okay, number 3 then, your report on the interpretive panels.
So that is the Parks Canada 5-year extension for the 2 interpretive panels located in Schreiber Beach at the gazebo. They want us to extend it for another 5 years with a one-time payment for $1. This is a great partnership with Parks Canada, so I strongly suggest that we put the extension on because they help partner with us and also fund some of their programs.
Yeah, I suggest we move to.
Yeah.
What's that?
Okay, number 4, the Parks Canada Red Chair Program.
Same thing, it's another Parks Canada 5-year extension at the amount of $1, and it is for the Red Chair program located at Schreiber.
Same thing.
Yeah, a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
They're down there looking for the red chairs. It's a quick little hike over there. It's an easy one, so.
Yeah, I do.
And you've included the agreements for the mayor to sign? Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
on that
okay.
list. At the top, just
Our next
as
meeting.
at the top, you have the right film date, and make sure it's the proper date, because they didn't put that in there, because they
Yeah,
don't
well,
know, didn't know if it's.
I've got a meeting at 9:30 tomorrow morning, we'll get her done then,
Okay,
somewhere tomorrow morning.
great, perfect.
Number 5, Economic Development Report on 2025 Great Lakes Waterfront Trail Partnership.
This is a membership contribution renewal for the Great Lakes, Great Lakes Waterfront Trail. We have been a membership with them since 2023, and this is to partner with them. They help advertise Schreiber with their, we have a map of our trails, waterfront trail and walking trails and everything on their site. Now, Councilor McGrath did bring my attention today that when you click on the map section, you can find a way to get a printed copy of our downloadable map, but there's actually not all lakes are shown except for Lake Superior. So when I speak to them, I'm gonna make them aware of that and tell them that, for us wanting to continue our membership with them, ask them to put a picture of Lake Superior up, on their, on the main map screen. It shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, and there's pictures there for,
Yeah, this is the downloadable map that they have on
Yeah.
there, and
Okay.
they get a lot of traffic to the website, and it's growing every year, and it's great exposure for us.
yeah, I'd recommend to go ahead with that, bring it.
Yeah, my question was this an annual expense that we do?
And
obviously it is.
Advertising is where we've been taking money from.
So I got tourism advertising over that, GL. Okay.
Yeah, I think the maps are good. Just to Jamie's point that we discussed today, that if you click on their website, they talk about all the Great Lakes, and they do those word about some of the trails that are on every lake except Lake Superior. So we could push back a little and say, need a little more information on Lake Superior, because somebody goes there looking at the Trans-Canada Trail and looking for Lake Superior, there's no mention of it.
Yeah,
right off the
so I
bat.
heard it could be great for them to
So, take it up.
do that.
Good point, Dan. Okay, number 6 is that the same?
Well, it's Trans-Canada Trail, which is
Okay.
the same, they are together, but in a way. So what happened though is Trans-Canada Trail now is actually just wants their partners to sign an agreement under their legal name, so that we have our official partnership with Trans-Canada Trail. Before, the partnerships all went under the Waterfront Trail, Great Lakes Waterfront Trail. So what they're doing is just
Separating it out.
separating it out, yeah, and it's no cost. It's just an agreement
Yeah.
saying that we're remaining partners with them.
Okay.
So,
Perfect.
My question is on page 2, Jamie, they talk about requirements of the trail operators, that we're gonna maintain that trail, we're gonna obtain all necessary approvals, we're gonna comply and respect TCT standards. So requirements of the trail operator. Is the township of Schreiber responsible for this, or is it Cascile that's doing that for us?
That's a good question. I'm not
Because
sure.
they mentioned the requirements that we're supposed to be doing.
This is like the same agreement as it's been with Waterfront Trail. So obviously, these terms were agreed upon before, so it's something to look into.
I don't think Schreiber was ever an operator of the trail. Through Schreiber, it's always been Cascade
So that'd be my guess.
organization, yeah.
So then I'm guessing, because this agreement is between Trans-Canada Trail and the Township of Schreiber, so that we must have another agreement with Cascade someplace, yeah?
For
Trail maintenance.
trail maintenance?
Yeah,
That's a good question. I'll talk to,
only because I keep the trail section conditions suitable for cyclers, walkers and hikers. I don't know what you guys find. I'm not going around cutting up bush.
that could be an agreement that Cascade has with
Okay.
Trans-Canada Trail.
So then, Dan, secondarily to that, the insurance requirements. The trail operator must provide the Trans-Canada Trail with proof of a minimum of $2 million of general liability insurance, but
That would be.
Cascade through Voyageur.
Through Voyageur Trail Association, yeah, they have insurance.
So it's not the Township of Schreiber that has to provide that.
Schreiber, it's the BTA.
So then I would suggest we probably, I'm not saying don't agree to this, but just, you might want a secondary agreement with Cascade. So that, do you know what I'm saying? Because we're the only ones named as the operator.
Right.
So provided we'll be-
That's my only,
That's good.
my only concern.
Follow up with Matt, JB, to see what's in place for that. He's on top of all that, so.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for your reports, Jane.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, Jim.
Have a good evening.
It's okay. Good. Fire chief report, CRC Communications Tower Rental Contract. move up if you want. Chief?
Sure. This is a renewal of our rental space up on the radio tower on Tower Road, which is the smallest of the three towers up on the hill to the north. Our current contract with them expires at the end of this month. So they're proposing a 1-year renewal, and they've also given us a 5-year fee schedule in the proposal. There are some small increases listed there. No, I think the biggest increase is $750 in the 5th year.
Right.
So fairly standard with the contract. So, we really don't have much of an alternative right now as far as other radio towers up there, as the other two are not open for rental spots. So I'm suggesting that I'm recommending that we renew this.
And I looked ahead at the 2025 proposed preliminary budget, which we're still working on. And you've got radio tower rental in there for 2,700, so that's gonna slightly more than cover the cost of this. And considering that this really is a strategy to continue to maintain current infrastructure supports and services, I can't see you not doing without it.
Yeah, if we
Yeah.
do without it, we lose a lot of our coverage area on
Yeah.
the radio system.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're good with it, that's for sure. Web and social media report, birthday events.
Okay, so I'll speak to this. Beth Ann and I were talking when we both got communications about the upcoming Earth Day. Province always sends out communication ahead of time to say what kind of the initiatives are and gives you suggestions of what you could do as a community. So we did go through that. Beth Ann did make a really incredible plan, a 2-day event for Earth Day that would include council. She does include the itinerary in her report here, if council should approve. The other thing is that with the 2-day event, we have, if council approves, we'd like to do some hands-on participation for Earth Day initiatives, do a display of the food cycler, just to promote that, promote recycling, do a craft with the kids about recycling. Of course, that would come to a cost, as you see in the quote there from Amazon, for $300. So council's aware there is no funding for Earth Day. So this would come out of our budget for sure. But I think it would be a really beneficial event and we could tie the schools in with it to do something with us if we spoke to them ahead of time. And I think it would be a great event.
I mean, it hits your strategic plan, right? When you talk about environmental development and strategies. The $300, I have no problem with it, but it doesn't include, last year we did mail outs. It doesn't include the cost of that. And some of the, like the flyers and advertising. So I guess my only question, I like the project. I do, I really like it. But that you might in fact want to include some additional money for advertising.
Okay.
'Cause I know last year,
The flyers though, last year, I know yourself and Tammy
Yeah.
had prepared it, so that was to kind of launch the recycling program,
Right.
right? So I
how would
mean,
you advertise this then?
on Facebook, our website, maybe posters up at various locations. We didn't plan on a mailer, but it doesn't mean it can't be
Well,
incorporated.
no, I'm fine with posters too. I'm just worried that people aren't gonna know about this.
Yeah.
I think if you go through the schools, then everyone will know about it.
Yeah.
So maybe, what's your thought, Dave? Make a presentation to both schools?
Yeah, or even if you just talk to each principal, say, hey, here's the plan, so then they just shoot an email out to parents and then parents know what's going on and stuff
Okay.
like that. That's an easy go, as long as the school's gonna say yes, which they will, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the only thing you might not get to do is the cleanup, because there might still be snow everywhere, so.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be my only, because I just had a staff meeting, we just talked about birthday too, except we're not gonna be able to break lawns and stuff, I don't think, but you might.
Yeah,
No, you never know, but you can also put that event
Yeah, you put that on.
to go along with spring cleanup.
Sure, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
There's enough other ideas in here that you could.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
I mean, very well done, for sure.
yeah, very well done. I think this is really gonna be awesome.
I know in years gone by, we used to partner with the railway, or the railway used to partner with the township on cleaning up town. We
Yeah.
used to get union members out
Fire department also.
and putting on a barbecue at the fire hall, and that's all something we did for quite a few years, so. Might be worthwhile to folks then, see if they,
Okay, I can contact Andre for sure.
yeah.
You've got a contact with CB Ram?
Yeah.
Excellent.
You might even think about getting a beautification committee in on that one,
Okay,
Oh, yeah, that's a
see
good
what
idea.
their interest is there.
okay.
And then last but not least, this last year we took out of council PR. Is that where you're suggesting it come out of again this year?
Yes.
Okay. Or GL council PR. Okay.
I think we gotta do an administration.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need an administration PR. We'll speak about the council PR to GL later during this meeting. Beautification. Okay. All good ideas. I know I like it.
No, yeah, for sure,
I
I
like
really
it.
like it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll go to number 9 then, what we just had, the delegation vote.
Okay.
Hold on to.
Yeah, so Matthew Human did give a presentation earlier, delegation to council, to explain what New Vote does and what their process is. So I did a little research into how much the election cost the township previously. I believe I added that GL to there, but I also did include what the costs were. So wages, for example, at the last municipal election with 10 outside of the regular staff was $3,570, just in hourly wages. There's training that would have to be involved with that if you don't have the same ones, and if the rules change, which we aren't 100% sure yet, then there would be additional training with that. So I think there's a lot more pros to going with the online process than having to hire extra staff or ask the municipal staff to go through that process with us. It's a lot less stressful, and it's just for me, it would be a real time saver.
Are there volunteers involved in the election, or is it all?
You pay the DROs.
paid?
It's all paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many people did we need last election?
So last election, they hired 10 outside of regular staff,
Yeah, so,
and there was, I believe, 3 regular staff.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that could be hard to find those bodies.
Yeah, it's very time consuming, and costly. The only thing is too, with the election, so typically, the municipality, it's every 4 years, so it's something that's gonna happen whether you want it to or not, right? So you have no choice. We should be setting money aside every single budget to pay for the next upcoming election, right? The next term. So it just softens the blow a little bit, like if every year we put away $1,500, then in the 4 years, you'd have your 6,000, which is roughly what it would cost
Mhm.
to run the election. So we're a little behind right now in our reserve. Last year was the first deposit that was, it wasn't? Okay, well, there's nothing in the election account. So we're gonna have to play a little bit of catch up.
But I have some thoughts towards that. But I think the first question becomes to our CAO's point. She's right. In 2022, we spent $4,849.16 to run an election. And that was for the election cost and the part-time wages, and she's outlined that in here. And she's also right that if we're paying more per hour, those costs are gonna go up, right, for 2026. With the quote that we got from New Vote for 6,360, I think you're gonna be darn close.
Yeah, I'm all in on that online payment, that's great.
So I think that's the first thing. Does mayor and council want us to change over and go with an online voting system? I think that's the first question. I'm with Dave. I like it.
I like the idea that more people will be able to vote. I'm not too worried about seniors learning how to do this, because they're pretty smart, so.
So people without access, I mean, this wasn't a question for him, but who don't have like a smartphone or a computer, like is the public library an option to online vote? No, so.
No, so what we would have to do is, because I would have to be there, or
Oh, right.
or whoever I delegate to be a DRO.
Yeah.
So we would do it here at the municipal office. We would have either 2 laptops or 2 tablets set up
Okay.
for people to come into the office to vote with screens.
Okay.
So you could still vote in person.
You
Yeah.
could,
Yeah, that's still good.
yeah, but here at the municipal office.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just thinking of another way to the people.
Yeah.
That's.
That's the way lots of people will do it. But I like the idea that they'll come down and run walk, and we're set up perfectly for it. It's not just gonna be the seniors either.
No.
It's gonna be, this is new to everybody, but it's the way everything's happening. I mean,
But yeah.
if we don't do it this year, if we don't do it next year, we're doing it in 2030,
Yeah.
Yeah.
without a doubt.
100%.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
And the fact, like, I suppose, is thinking the same as you, to still allow a paper balloted thing, but if people can come in here and just do it on a screen, I don't see a point even offering.
Offering paper ballots, sure, I agree.
And the window of.
Yeah, no, we definitely work our way through.
Yeah,
It can be longer. That's just how we set it up at the last election, is we did 2 weeks of advanced voting.
Which is great.
that's great.
Well, I think that's like, right now, I mean, you might have 2 or 3 days, right?
And the election's in October.
In October, yeah.
24.
Typically when people start snowbirding away, that's what they do, and they'll still get to vote.
Yeah,
But yeah, the elections are typically October, November, so a lot of people miss them because they're not in town.
yeah, absolutely.
Where they can do it from
They
anywhere,
could do it.
any in the world.
And voting by proxy is great.
That's right.
Yeah.
Eliminates that.
Yeah, it does, you're right.
So
Well, it sounds like we're all on board with online voting.
we just gotta
So,
set up a system that we like
yeah,
and
and it sounds like you're willing to work with us.
work out the bugs, and it sounds like there's not 2 bugs, so just work with them and
Yeah.
and tell them what we'd like to see, not what we'd like to see, I think what the community would
What
like to
will
see.
fit our community.
And go with that, and we'll have to work out the bugs as we go along. Like, not that there's just different options.
Yeah,
And Rhonda's been through this before, so she's a great resource.
I think a
Exactly.
vast majority of people will like this.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now when we get to the part where we're talking about, working this into a budget.
Mhm.
So in April of 2024, we had, mayor and council had a long discussion about reserve and reserve accounts. And at the time, we made the suggestion that every year we would move there would be a expense line into an election account for $1,500.
Mhm.
So it was scheduled to occur in 2024, but there have been no reserve transfers from 2024.
No.
So I agree with you, it puts you behind. So I don't, with respect through the mayor, my suggestion would be, that whole report also spoke about moving money from different reserve accounts. My personal recommendation through the mayor would be that we move money from another reserve, I'm gonna suggest $4,500 into the reserve account, election reserve, sorry. Schedule $1,500 every year, starting with 2025. In 2026, you're gonna have your six, that's gonna cover the cost of this, but you're also gonna be moving $1,500 ahead, so you'll always be ahead every 4 years. And instead of having to take the whole $4,500 out of our 2025 budget, I think to lessen that blow,
Yeah.
I'd say move it from a reserve. It's gonna hit the budget because we didn't do it. But I think we can fix it without a whole lot of pain to our taxpayers. So that's through the mayor, that'd be my suggestion.
No,
But I would be looking at Toronto to see what he thought about that.
No,
don't
I
know.
agree. Yeah. I agree. It's one of those things that we can't avoid, so.
We're
No.
paying for it one way or the other.
That's right.
Rather than pay for it all in 1 year, why not spread it out? I mean, that
Yeah.
makes complete sense.
Okay.
And I also agree with the online voting that, it's not any more expensive.
Yeah.
No, it's gonna
It's
be.
gonna be pretty, it's on
Gonna be a
par,
wash.
it's on par,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, number 10, PSD citywide proposal.
Okay, so, with the, regulation 588-17, we're in the last phase of the regulation to be compliant. So by July 1st of 2025, we have to develop within our asset management plan proposed levels of service and life cycle management and financial strategy. So part of that is our asset retirement obligations, which are taken care of, but we still have to finalize the report. And I've lost the word, submit it, sorry, to municipal affairs for final approval. So just to be honest, PSD has been instrumental in developing the plan for the township of Schreiber right from the start. They've helped us every step of the way through.
They've done all the work, right, Rhonda?
Yeah, so I would ask council that they continue and do this final phase. They did provide us a quote, which I have included. So the final phase, they're estimating at being roughly $25,000 to complete. I know.
No. So, in 2024, mayor and council approved a capital budget.
Mhm.
And under general administration, we approved for the AMP
Mhm.
for July the 1st, 2025 compliance, we approved $55,000.
So the money's there.
Well, so this was supposed to be spent in that expense was for the 2024 capital budget.
Yeah.
It hasn't been started, so I'm going to suggest that I'm thinking you would just remove that
Okay.
and then put it into 2025 at 25. It's actually gonna be about $30,000 cheaper.
Okay.
Thanks.
That was our budget variance report that our treasurer prepared for us. And when I was looking at it, because I couldn't figure out if this was gonna be operating or a capital project, I went to look at the capital list and sure enough, there it is for
Okay.
2024. So, because I kind of went, oh boy, 2025, so it would be a 2025 capital project, but at a $30,000 savings, because we wouldn't use the whole thing. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure, good.
Okay.
Okay.
That was easy.
Number 11, Heritage Days.
Okay, so we have been talking about the upcoming Heritage Days Festival with plans. We've had a couple of Recreation Committee meetings where we've discussed where they kind of would like to see the event go to. They did decide that this year they don't recommend having a theme for the event, to just leave it with the title that it has. So I provided council with a draft budget for approval, along with the event planner for what the committee was thinking. Are there any questions from council? Or concerns?
I can't get. Okay. So, when I looked at the budget,
Mm-hmm.
there's, at the very bottom, Rhonda, there's our budget, our actual, then E-budget, E-actual. So if I take the numbers from, let me just put this over what your titles are. From budgeted revenues,
Yep.
leave out the actual and then go budgeted expenditures,
Mm-hmm.
I have a shortfall of 1,922. But the E-budget, E-actual shows a realization of 3477, so I'm lost.
Okay, so what we did is we based this on what 2024 cost
Okay,
and the changes that were being made.
okay,
So like in the event type, or I just gotta make this smaller, sorry, now it's like here, so I don't have to. Okay, in the event type, or what was spent on alcohol, or,
okay, I see. So you
Yeah.
got 2024 to the left and 2025 to the right.
right,
Okay,
so.
so I'm okay, that's where I'm missing. This is 2025.
So we're estimating
Okay.
that even if we had that many sponsors at just the minimum $250,
Okay.
we would still show a profit.
Okay.
So the plan is a little different this year. I do want council's approval. The committee has suggested that instead of doing a dunk tank, that there's pies in the face.
Love it.
So
I'm putting Dave up first.
I don't know how council feels about that, but rather than the dunk tank, but
Be quicker, and not as cold.
Right. Yeah.
These are soft pies, right?
I think it's just plates of whipped cream.
Whipped cream.
Yeah,
That shouldn't be an issue. Okay,
Or you could pick a flavor you like.
yeah, we can. I'll make sure that it's not colored red, green, or
Yeah.
blue, or anything that'll stain your skin.
No, I think that the changes they've made are good.
So last year, and at Winter Carnival, for example, the buttons made no money. They didn't sell. No one
I was
was.
gonna ask you. Okay, so
So I had suggested that we do not go with buttons, but then it was brought to my attention that with the reunion happening, that some of the reunion attendees may wish to purchase a button for just a keepsake of the whole event.
What's the projection, numbers wise for the?
We've been told by one of the committee members that there was 600 invited and they've had 300 confirmed.
That's
Wow,
big.
That's huge.
So the whole idea behind your marketing strategy, the pamphlet distribution, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably tons of Facebook advertising, I'm gonna guess.
Oh, yeah.
See, so the buttons are in here.
Yeah.
So then I guess the question is the extra added expense for radio.
If council wishes to spend that for radio, CFNO, we can, but I mean, I'm not sure that.
Is that like 30-second ads for 2 weeks and like, remember what that was for, Rhonda?
Yeah, pretty much, and I'm not sure that it made the difference. Sorry.
2 weeks.
It's like the
I'm
pop.
not saying not to, it just,
Yeah.
I was just looking at the whole, okay.
Also too, I reduced the price of the vendor tables a bit, because I think it may make a difference in having more participation.
That market.
Yeah,
It's just a thought. You don't have to do. So, the community barbecue, kids bocce, adult bocce, floor curling, luncheons, pickleball, reunion, pie wagon, townwide yard sale, fair day, and that's where you're talking about adding additional vendors.
Yes,
Then the beer gardens,
right.
church services, okay. And the dance is what night? Sorry, is it Friday night?
It is Friday night.
Friday night's the reunion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's their
it's
thing.
dance.
It's their
Saturday
thing.
night is the Heritage Day dance.
The Heritage Day dance.
It's not a dance, just concert. The dance is Friday night
Oh, okay.
and Saturday is the concert. We'll
But
go back.
the reunion people are in charge of the dance.
That's right.
We're in charge of the Saturday night.
That's right.
Okay. So concert.
So we have nothing to do with the dinner whatsoever.
No,
On Friday.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that's the way I see it.
Yeah, no, I
I
agree.
know we put one on one year, it was
It's a lot of work.
a disaster.
Okay. Okay. So, sorry, Ron.
Okay. Well, no, not,
Okay.
we can address it. We can do some legwork and maybe address it next. But there'll be some way to do that. No, I think, overall, I mean, there's one or two little things, but overall, I think, they've done a great job.
The committee, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
They need to be commended on it.
A lot of work.
I look forward to it. They've done a lot of work, and I think the people coming home won't be disappointed,
yeah.
or
Like
I don't think anybody will be disappointed, even the locals.
everyone on that committee's done a lot of work, but like a shout out to Abby and Callie, they've done a lot.
Yep, I like the makeup of the committee,
Yeah.
Okay,
They've done a great job.
so.
and to have a planner and a budget, great work. Great work
And a great work by
by everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think
you guys.
there's not a lot in there, but I think less is gonna be more.
That's it.
A lot of little things I don't think flies anymore. I think just big Saturday, couple things before it, Sunday,
Calm, yeah.
Basically,
yeah. Excellent.
And tied in with the baseball tournament.
that helps a lot.
Yeah, talking about the baseball tournament and the reunion, I mean, that's gonna be
Yeah, it's gonna be busier.
a busy weekend, it's gonna be awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, number 12. Zoning bylaw amendment, shipping containers.
Okay, so we've had a few questions come into the municipal office regarding shipping containers or sea cans, as to whether they're allowed, not allowed, what size, if at all. So in our current zoning bylaw, there's nothing specific that addresses sea cans or shipping containers. When I spoke to Mr. Miller regarding the update of the zoning bylaw, that was one discussion that we had. He has prepared a proposed bylaw for council to review regarding shipping containers, which would then be incorporated into the zoning bylaw amendments. Does council have questions?
So, Rhonda, this is the allowance
Mhm.
of sea cans given certain specifications, where they can be, where, but if a resident wanted to put a sea can, they'll be able to do that now.
Yes, if they follow these regulations.
Okay.
One question on L, a shipping container shall not be used for the purpose of a commercial storage facility. Can you define that a little better?
Yeah, so, for example, the grocery store, if they wanted to put a shipping container on the property behind the grocery store to store extra stock, it would not be permitted.
But-
I read it like, I can't put a shipping container and then charge someone to store their stuff.
So for current businesses who are using shipping containers to in fact hold stock,
Yeah.
they would be grandfathered in and still be allowed.
Yeah. Do we have? Oh,
So what is the
Yeah.
reasoning behind that clause? That they can't hold stock in a shipping container?
I think he just, I mean, I think this originally came up for him, like in a major center, like in Niagara on the lake. They just, council at that time there did not want their businesses, properties just littered with sea cans. But I mean, this is just a proposal, right? It can be amended or changed. It's a draft in any way council prefers, right?
Is this something, do you amend before the public meeting or after?
So this is a bylaw, so
Excuse me.
this is separate to the zoning bylaw.
Oh, okay.
This is just a shipping container bylaw on its own, standalone. So it would
Okay.
be enforced by Karen.
And then the public meeting is
For the zoning bylaw.
in its entirety. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. I didn't know that either. Good. Thanks for explaining it. Yeah.
So I don't really understand why anybody with a business would wanna have a shipping container on their property rather than to store stuff.
Are you sure about that? Are you sure it's not talking about
I don't know, cause
a
the reference,
commercial storage
Well-
facility?
the comparison was a van. It's a van that's being used.
But there are shipping containers in town now, and that's what they're being used for. To store
If you're
stuff.
not storing stuff.
Yeah, see, I don't know anything about that. I just know.
I see what you're saying, really, you're gonna look for the habit.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
That L
I
doesn't
can
make sense
ask,
to me.
yeah, we can definitely ask for clarification, but we were talking about one local business that's using a van, an old van on the property that's quite visible.
To store stuff.
Yeah.
I'll give you proposed for instance, now that this might be actually or not actually going on. But if you're looking at a business perhaps needs some place to store, they might order palletfuls of 10W30 oil and transmission fluid and brake fluid and items like that they don't maybe have space for in their business. They'll actually take sea cans, leaving it on their commercial property, typically not seen by most people, and that's where they'll store that stuff.
Right.
Because you're able to maintain it, and it's environmentally sound. Do you know what I mean? It's not cluttering up space that you might want to use other parts for. That might be one example of a business that would use a sea can for commercial storage.
Okay, so I will ask Mr. Miller to clarify.
I know, Canadian Tire in Nipigon, they have a bunch of sea cans out on the highway, next to Robbinsville, that's where they store a lot of their stock.
Yeah, they're-
What's that?
Oh, I was gonna say.
They're not on that.
Okay.
But you're right, patio sets, outdoor
Yeah.
furniture, planters, like you couldn't store that all in that
Yeah,
store.
they will go out there and get it for you
Yeah.
Okay,
while you wait.
Mm-hmm.
so we can definitely ask for clarification for the next meeting. Is there any other questions about the body of the bylaw or?
Yeah, I don't, no shipping container shall exceed the height of 10 feet. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
A total length of 16.76 meters or 55 feet. I don't like that. That's where you're getting that's old school. That's where you're getting your transports. That's where
Where do
you're
you see
getting
that
your
on?
transport bodies, your containers.
E.
I
Letter
would,
E. Oh, okay.
I would nail it down to,
40 feet,
I would nail it down to 20 feet.
20 feet?
I would, and I've looked into it. Because I'm definitely not especially after COVID and the price of everything. I'm definitely not against, sea cans, but I think they gotta be out of sight in the backyard, and they gotta, um, but a 20-footer, people will even get away from a 40-footer sea can now because of the light.
Right.
Unless
so
they
make it
get
up
the
back.
doors on the front.
Mm-hmm.
They love the 20-footers because you don't walk in very far, and with the doors open, you don't need lights. But the 40-footer and the transports, you tend to need light or flashlights and every other thing. And when you get the big ones, you're talking an old transport trailer. And there's a few of them. Granted, they'd be grandfather. I'm
Yeah.
not saying anything about that, and they are junky. 20-footers, they're not, I really don't think they're junky. I mean, you could probably buy a junky one, but
Never thought of that. It's something, no, it's a good point. I never thought of that.
I don't get it.
I mean,
I don't know what kind of residential property we able to fit a 55-foot trailer and still meet all the other criteria, but change it to.
Yeah, true, since multiple car lots, yeah. Yeah.
hey,
Dave's just saying,
But I don't know what lot would be able to fit a 55-foot long trailer and still abide by every other rule on here, but change it to 20, then we don't have to worry about it.
mm-hmm.
I'm fine with that. 'Cause that's the,
Yeah, no,
that's the
it's-
typical sea can everyone's gonna get anyway.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I would talk to,
Mr. Muller,
Mr.
Yeah.
Moore about that.
can you bring a second draft back to the next council meeting? Would that be
Sounds good.
agreeable?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. There's a lot of residents that ask about sea cans. I think that this would be a nice addition to the zoning bylaw. It's gonna make people happy.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, with just plopping them in on your driveway and all that, no. I mean, I think there's a place for them, for a 20-foot sea can. I mean, if you, depending on what company you go to, some of them tin or plastic sheds, you pay just as much for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, and you go to pay, you try and build a 20-foot garage, or 15,
Yeah.
whatever, and it's scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those shelter logic sheds, they're not pretty.
So,
The sea can, you could doctor it up and make it your own too.
yeah,
A
that's
lot of
true.
people can put windows and doors in and paint it whatever color they want, yeah. They could make it.
well, you get the one use, and that's what they are, one use sea cans. That's what they call brand new. They ship them over from China, they don't ship
Yeah.
them back. They're one use sea cans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they're the brand new ones you buy, or you can buy older ones. But no, I think that's a start, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
excellent.
Okay, Director of Operations,
Sorry. No, it's good.
status report. And is you speaking to that one then?
Yeah, says I pulled up the wrong one, so hang on, please. I clicked on the wrong one. Okay, so, I won't go through the whole thing with council, I'm sure you've read it, just some of the highlights, the wastewater treatment plant. So Tammy received an estimate for the remainder of the work at the wastewater treatment plant from the 80 Brothers. The quote is attached for the labor, and she says we'll still have the parts to pay for when the fabrication is complete. Aqua has reported another non-compliance notice for the VOD and TSS. And the MECP is happy with our lab results and have changed the sampling frequency back to monthly from weekly.
That's good news.
So that is good news. Excuse me. Aqua is asking for a washing machine to be replaced at the wastewater treatment plant. The machine has failed and multiple attempts have been made to repair it with no success. If the township allows Aqua to make the purchase, we will have to pay the 10% administration fee. If council approves the expenditure, Tammy would make the purchase and have the recreation, maintenance staff pick it up rather than pay that 10% extra on top, which I think is probably our best bet. The senior center renovation, she's spoken to JML Engineering about the renovation and explained the budget problem. She explains that we did not want to continue to pay JML for the revised drawings. Would they be willing to release them to us? So JML was actually pretty good about it. They did, I guess, get back to Tammy, I believe, in the end, and did provide her with the drawings. The recreation programmer, work continues with the seed grant for the summer youth program. A package will be presented, which is in this council. And she's attached the 80 Brothers quote for the labor only, the wastewater treatment plant non-compliance, and the automation now project report. Any questions?
Yes.
Yes, I have questions. Does anybody else have any questions?
Oh boy, I don't know if I got the answer, but I'll try.
So when I look through the quote for the wastewater treatment plant,
The 80 Brothers?
if you look through all of these items, jobs 1 to job 6,
Okay, yep.
you would assign all of these to the state of emergency. Because these repairs all have to do with process.
Mm-hmm.
Is you're saying yes.
Yes,
So then there's an additional almost $34,000 going to the state of emergency cost.
correct.
Do we have any estimate of what the parts are gonna cost?
So I can tell you those screens though, like the fabrication, the screens for the influent, those were already fabricated and they're sitting there waiting for installation in the spring. The gates, same thing. They have already been made, so I'm assuming that those invoices have already come through. The handles for the lids, again, were already fabricated. I think it's
Okay.
just a matter of waiting for spring installation.
Okay.
I know the handrails and the kick plates around the clarifiers were waiting for spring.
But they haven't been fabricated yet.
No, they have been fabricated. They were waiting for installation. So that's why I believe this quote, I'm trying to think back, but I do believe that she did provide council with a report from the 80 Brothers saying what work was left.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the work, but it didn't, that original quote did not include the labor. So now they're providing council with a quote for the labor to finish projects, if I'm understanding correctly.
So the way these quotes normally work is labor and parts are almost always the same amount. So we're probably looking at another. And some of it might then have been pre-approved, another $30,000 in parts. But it's a possibility that some of that's been pre-approved. But, so would already be on that, but you're saying job 1 to job 6
Mhm.
is absolutely dealing with process, so would be state of emergency.
Correct.
So once this work is complete, does administration have any idea when we can close down the state of emergency?
I would say when the last of the invoices come in and we know our totals.
Because there's reports later on, for reports and items that are needed for the wastewater treatment plant. And I think I just want administration to be aware that you need to start asking yourself, is this process?
Mhm.
Or is this because something's old and has failed and needs to be replaced? It's got nothing really to do with process. Do you know what I'm saying? Keep assigning all these amounts to state of emergency, and we're getting to the end and we're getting so close. I just want admin to be aware of the difference. Because at some point, the mayor is going to want to close down the state of emergency. And the fact that the MECP is letting us go back to monthly, and the fact that the bagging's being done, we've got to be getting close, I'm thinking. Your thoughts?
All these are processed.
Okay,
All these have been talked about.
okay,
All these have been talked about.
okay,
The fact that, some of these are already fabricated and waiting for the spring for installment.
okay,
um, Proves that.
okay,
Yeah, there's not one thing
okay,
of, that's not processed except the handrails, but the handrails are health and safety.
okay,
Yeah, they had to be done. As far as state of emergency goes, we gotta wait and see a bit yet.
okay.
I mean, yeah, they were begging, I haven't gone down. I seen them out with the trailer the other day, so I'm going to assume they're still begging. I'm going to assume that it's going good.
I think,
But you don't wanna get out of state of emergency too quick either.
no, I agree, but, I mean, I'm just saying that even this non-compliance report is, compared to what we've had before, is not that horrible. It is obviously getting better down there. So process has improved with the repairs, and rightfully so, we put a ton of money into these repairs. Just at some point, right?
Right.
It's gotta be shut down.
Right, we still got a leak going on down there too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, is that process? Or is that because that line was old?
That one I can't answer.
I know, right? So, the other question I have is the washing machine. We're talking about like a laundry washing machine?
Correct.
Okay. So, if council approves the expenditure, I'd like how much? How much for a washing machine? There's no estimate here.
You're probably looking at $1,500 for a brand new washer. If you get like a good one,
Yeah, like, they
front
don't
loader.
need, they don't need like a Bluetooth enabled washing machine or anything
No.
like that, or wireless or like, I don't know.
So is this going to operating Raja or to capital?
It would have to go to capital.
Yeah, I don't like they'd be over 1,000 off.
Depends.
How big does it, how big does it have to be?
I think just a regular standard size.
What do
Yeah,
they
they
have
just go
now?
get one at Home Hardware for $500.
Yeah,
They have a standard size, but it's
Yes.
front, I believe it's a front loader.
they're a little more.
Yeah. But you could go with one with an agitator rather than
Yeah.
not.
They don't need- hop on it.
All I'm saying is that, okay, so when they're preparing capital budgets, then I'll expect to see wastewater treatment plant, because we already have aqua stuff, wash machine, for some amount of price. Okay.
Make sure you're aware of that.
And again, automation now, either later in April or May, we can expect a roundup of that project financially, where we are with expenses and with the money that we've already moved over to cover some of it, and how much longer we're going to be paying on that, correct?
This is, I'm sorry, the automation now.
Automation now, that's an ESA upgrade.
Okay, yes,
Okay,
yes.
and outside of that, that's the end of my questions.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm just curious about the washing machine.
I'd have to go down there and find out, to be honest. I don't remember off the top of my head. what it
What's
looks
that?
like, what the washer looks like.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know that it's in the
I don't
shower
know.
room, but
I really don't think it's anything special. I mean, we got, when I was working in Public Works, we got the washer and dryer too. I mean, and you need them.
Oh, we're not saying you don't need it, but just, you're saying approve an expenditure, I don't know how much.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. No, I'm good with,
Yeah.
okay.
okay, Director of Operations report on our North Sidewalk project.
Okay, so, a request for proposal was, put out for sidewalk replacement in February. The RFP was published on the Thunder Bay Construction Association website and sent by invitation to Provo Construction in Wawa. 3 proposals were received on February 28th, one from Base Concrete and Construction. They say they can do 785 meters for the 360,000. True Tarbud Construction will do 542 for that amount, and RML Contracting will do 400 for that amount. The places that Tammy's proposing that the money is spent on would be a section of Winnipeg Street, the Drummond to Ontario section, and Ontario to Manitoba, Ontario Street, Winnipeg to Superior, opposite of the school, Winnipeg to Erie by the United Church, and Manitoba Street, Winnipeg to Superior, and Winnipeg to the LCBO parking lot. So that would be a total of the 768 meters that Base Concrete can do.
My own question, why did they think they could do almost double what RML can do for the same price?
Yeah.
Why though? Like, is there reasoning in there? Like, is there a thing proposed, like, is there,
When you look through the proposals, I know.
Yeah.
like, I don't understand, like, who, I guess, is RML just more expensive? Or are we getting an inferior product?
Yeah.
I Googled all 3 companies.
Okay.
I read up on them.
Okay.
I do not. I got the same question. Dave.
Well, because I'm sure all
I
of us
just
get
don't
it.
want I don't want these sidewalks
I-
blacking in here.
I got the same question, like, I'm kind of the opposite. I'm kind of the opposite of what you're saying, because I'm looking at 400 meters for 360.
$1,000.
Well, that's what I mean.
I'm at the
They-
opposite of that. I'm thinking we're getting bang for our buck at 360 for the I think we're getting, well, obviously we're getting bang for our buck, but I think we're getting a truer, I don't know how to say it, but I think we're getting,
Yeah,
I would definitely go with Base.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Isn't that normal though? You put out, you know, the request and, contractors come back and they're all over the place. And some
Yeah.
are really expensive and for no reason other than that's the price they give you. They're no better than the other guy.
Yeah.
I think that's just normal.
Like, I looked at that and I thought, both.
Then I found it weird that everybody will be done by June 30th.
Yeah.
All of them. Every proposal was gonna be, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
was
yeah,
gonna
they
be
all-
It was
by
all
June
redone,
30th.
yeah,
Well, their other jobs started, whatever.
probably.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with Grace. You know what I was, my question was the list of sidewalks?
Mhm.
Cause, and I'm going to ask you because you drive around every morning. Remember we had this conversation about maybe not necessarily, like, the ones that need the work, but also where they're going to be seen? Like, to do those sidewalks? Are you good with this list? Are you thinking that this is the right list? Of sidewalks?
you could put us, you could rip up any sidewalk in town, I'm sorry. You could rip up any sidewalk in town and put down it. I mean, when Nords first came out, when we looked at it, and it was, I think it was $385,000 would be total. We were all excited, you know. It was, we can almost do, I forget what it was, 13 of the sidewalks per street, like 13 sidewalks,
Mhm.
and per block, like a block. And now it's probably 4 since COVID. Like, it's just that 360 sure as heck doesn't get you what it was gonna get you back when this program came out in whenever,
Mhm.
2021 or 2020. But it is what it is. I mean, it's too bad we couldn't get the province to double it or whatever. Because,
So this list of streets you're
yeah,
saying- Okay.
yeah,
Okay. No, and I agree with you guys. Like, I looked at it too and thought, huh, the heck?
It's a good start, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely do base concrete and construction, definitely.
Yeah, no, he's bringing down, I forget what it said, 6 workers.
Yeah.
And whatnot. I couldn't find, unless I missed something, I'm glad you guys read too. Unless I missed something, they're not hauling away the old stuff or whatever, but I don't think I did.
No.
I compared apples to apples. Depth,
Very.
Yeah.
base, reaper base.
Yeah.
Okay, so let Tammy know.
That'll be nice to get that project up and going, hey?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Director of Operations, Aqua Capital Request, 2025.
Okay, so, Aqua supplied their capital list request. Tammy's broken it down, she's got, in her report items that she's not recommending that we proceed with. But she is, however, recommending that council proceed with the crane repairs, the online UTV, pH, and chlorine analyzers, the unidirectional flushing, and valve exercising.
And that's only you every year anyways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one.
So,
Is staff gonna be able to do that this year? I mean, the plan was to do some of that valve exercising last year,
Yeah.
and they couldn't do it.
No.
Are they gonna be able to do it this year?
I don't know, it's dependent.
Yeah, so something to look into, I guess.
see, because this is capital / major minor maintenance, so, like, my question is, on page 1,
Mhm.
water treatment plant minor maintenance, so is this a capital request, or is this what she's rolling into operating?
No, I'm assuming this is their capital request.
Backflow prevention inspection required annually. Annual compressor service required annually. Like, I don't think some of this, I don't, like, here's the thing, I guess, I'm not sure, I don't think some of this is capital, I think some of this,
Is operating?
because see, then I take a look at water treatment plant major maintenance, and then there I see the crane, I see the online UBT, so I'm kind of thinking that's the 45,000 for that major maintenance is what she's looking at for capital. Where that other stuff might be rolled into operating under minor maintenance. So, because I'm trying to remember how she did it last year, and it seemed to me some of it was actual operating
Yeah.
and some of it was capital, because Marlene had taken the report and she had different colors, and she said, no, like some of this is actual, like, annual stuff that is just part of their contract, or it's part of what we roll into, but there was bigger stuff. So I just wanted to be clear on that, because then the problem, not the problem, but then the question becomes, well, if she's looking for $45,000 worth of capital repairs to the water treatment plant, or do you want this approved now, or do you want this approved when you actually work on the capital budget for 2025?
I would assume the budget for 2025. Because I don't remember her saying any of this had to be done like today.
Okay.
No.
Just information.
Yeah,
Yeah, so maybe ask her, I think the minor maintenance might be operating, Rhonda.
okay,
I'm not 100% sure.
I'll write that down.
But I see where she's got the bigger stuff, and I see the stuff that she didn't include, and said, no, I don't want that. And I do take seriously, her conclude, like, one resolution passed for this additional work as compared to
Yeah,
several, but of course now too, we've also changed our procurement policy. So some of this stuff will fall within the procurement where,
that's right, you won't need that.
yeah.
Okay.
And the other thing I will say is am I to assume the no requirements for wastewater treatment plant is because nothing needs to be repaired?
It's left.
More to come.
Okay.
Okay, when I go to number 16 then.
Sure.
I'd like to go up with the seed grant, summer youth program.
Okay, so the seed grant. So, Tammy and Jamie and I have been working on, coming together with a plan for this. So, we were originally under the impression that, and it doesn't reflect in what I'm gonna tell you in this report, because it's information we've just recently
Okay.
found out, okay? So, we were under the impression that this grant was for $100,000. So, when talking to OTF to make changes to how we were going to spend the money, she informed us that they actually only approved us for roughly 59,000. Which, all that means in reality is we don't buy as much equipment. It doesn't mean the program can't operate or we can't do exactly what's in her plan, right?
Okay.
It's just we change what we purchase for new equipment, right? So, she has provided you guys with an 8-week schedule showing what it could look like if council should approve these types of activities. They're all in-house, which is very nice. It's mostly either on the property here or walking down to the splash pad or walking to the the water treatment plant for a tour. I think Tammy has done a really good job in planning this 8-week program and coming up with pricing for what it would cost to run this 8-week program. So for example, because there's a shortfall with the funding, we would discontinue something like the trailer. We don't need to have an enclosed trailer.
Okay.
So that's a big savings right there. So she had also included a fridge to keep fresh fruit. So instead of fresh fruit, we buy fruit cups. There's ways around it, right? So we can.
So what you're telling us is you're going to bring the budget back in line to 59,000.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
so my only feedback would be in terms of the schedule itself.
Mm-hmm.
These blocks of time
Yep.
are huge for what some of the activities are. And I would recommend over planning instead of just like writing the one game for an hour and a half block, because if the age group is 6 to 9,
6 to 12.
some of these games are gonna last 20 minutes and they're gonna get bored, and then it's better to over plan. Like when I worked at the summer camps, we planned in half an hour chunks.
Okay.
And if you got to everything, you did, but if you didn't, at least you had planned.
Because you've actually ran one of these before.
Yeah, that was my job. And it was half an hour intervals. I mean, some of them would be the same thing if it was like Tracy Berry coming in. That's obviously gonna take that whole time, but rock hunting is gonna take 15 minutes and they're gonna get bored. Not an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay.
Would be my advice.
Okay.
Is to stack a bunch of activities in those time blocks.
Sure. Okay. That's easy enough. But, I think overall,
No, it's good.
Yeah.
There are lots of different
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
going on, yeah.
No, I think it's great. I like that they move a splash pad like every week. Like, I think that's a smart idea.
Yeah.
Like, just use what's free and around us.
exactly, the seniors barbecue,
I liked a lot of things, so
Yeah, I thought a lot of it was cool.
I like bringing in pace flat. I like
And they're gonna learn what goes on in their community.
Yeah.
It's huge.
there's a lot.
Yeah.
So if council is okay with this proposed plan, what we want to do, because we're coming close to the end of the school year, is develop a flyer, design a flyer, have it go out to all the schools, so that it can get distributed and sent home with the kids now to get registration going. Advertise for the 3 students we're gonna hire, because colleges are coming to an end. High school will be coming to an end, and hopefully we can get some good candidates apply.
I think you're gonna get a lot of kids wanting this job. And I think once you get registration, you could, even in terms of planning the activities, you might end up having like a couple, like, 2 activities, depending, like, 'cause the age group is so
Right,
wide.
yeah,
If you have kids of all ages, like a 12-year-old's not gonna wanna really do what,
that's right.
so you
A
could have
6-year-old.
like, yeah, you have like a 6 to 9 age group, and then the 10 to 12s, if you have enough, like, you won't know that until you see the registration. We used to do ours in, like, basically, the age groups were every 3 years. It was like 5 to 8, 9 to 12, and then we had like an older group.
Okay.
So can we talk for a minute about registration?
Yeah.
So, okay, so these programs are typically run, parents register their kids, and there's a fee for that. So, I'm looking at the fee for the summer.
Mhm.
And it's cheaper than having a baby, it's cheaper than getting a babysitter. It definitely is that, but if I was a stay-at-home mom, I don't know.
Do they register week by week?
Well, and that's kind of my question.
Because that's how we always did it.
Yeah, so
You pick the weeks you want.
yeah, it could, yeah, because people go on vacation too,
Yeah.
right? So they wouldn't want to pay for the entire summer and when they're gone for
Okay.
whatever.
So you, because that was my second question, what if me and my kids are going on holidays for 2
Yeah.
weeks? So it flats out to about $50 a week, if I'm looking at this correctly, right?
Yeah.
And kids could sign in, there might be, a set of kids that start, but maybe those spaces will change through the summer?
Yeah, I envisioned it as a parent can register their kid. I want them to attend. Maybe my kid only wants to do the activities
That's right.
that are in this week.
Okay.
So I'm gonna register my kid for that week.
So it'll be like weekly registration, so a parent could pick and choose?
Yeah, like we'll send out the tentative schedule, like as part of the package to go home. So parents can review it and then talk to their kids and decide, okay, are they interested in the sports part of it, the
Yeah.
art part of it, the adventure part of it? And then they can pick and choose what days they attend.
Okay, so it's a 9 to 3 day,
Yes,
and the snacks are provided by the program,
correct.
but lunch kids go home?
I would say bring a bag,
Bag
like
lunch.
bag lunch and have it on the property.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just like school.
That's
just
right.
like school?
Yeah.
Okay.
What about insurance? Is this program covered on our municipal insurance?
So, yeah, as long, provided that it's run by the municipality, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've taken a lot of the liability out of the program by keeping it on site and local, right?
What are the numbers, like, what are the max amount of kids we can do?
So it depends, so we looked at, what the standard ratio is for, like, we used a daycare, for example, how many kids per, I don't know what you call them, supervisor or teacher,
Yeah,
whatever, so we looked, and I think the maximum was 10 per person.
Yeah, that's,
that sounds about right.
yeah.
So we thought
That
between-
will be chaos if we get that one.
Yeah, so between the 3 students and the 1 staff member, you're looking at possibly 40 kids. That would be the maximum. But I don't think you get that. I could be wrong, but
If a week is intriguing, you never know.
Yeah?
yeah,
Which is awesome. Yeah, that's when you gotta divvy up the age groups and
Yeah.
like divide and conquer type of thing.
right.
And wouldn't that be a horrible problem that we have a lot of
Yeah,
children
that'd
who
be
are
awesome.
interested in going to a summer camp? Like
Outdoor
honestly,
activities,
like,
yeah.
I know Emma ran 2 weeks of summer programs last year, and she filled up to the max that she could fill up, and she said she had tons of interest in it. She's not doing it again because it was exhausting. Like,
because you just saying that just made me think, holy man, is she running her
I
own?
don't think she's doing it.
Okay.
I think it's a really good program.
Yeah,
I do too, yeah.
I think it'll be well.
I think it's gonna be great.
I do too.
We also, like, we thought too, that with doing it on this property, like the bulk of it, if we had a day where it's raining, we can utilize the gym if it's not being used. Or one of the, room, is it 124?
Yeah,
Or whatever, if we had to, right? Or,
You've got options.
that's right,
My last question,
yeah,
are you sending this out, you said through the schools?
Yeah.
Are we sending it to the Terrace Bay schools?
yes.
Yeah, so all 5 elementary schools are gonna get the information.
There's 5, how many?
The
tiers?
French school.
Oh, right, okay. So yes,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, the only question I got would be, and now it makes sense, in my head, is why would you spend $30,000 on a hauling trailer? I mean, we can go back to what we just previously talked about half an hour, like C can, put it outside here and put your equipment in it. And every day you go to do something, you put the equipment that you're gonna use in the back of the truck and do your thing.
So at the time, the recreation programmer felt this would be a good way to transport everything all at once from place to place.
Right, okay, but now that everything's being held here,
Yes, there's no need.
and so like that, the special guests, have you confirmed a lot of these?
Tracy Berry, yes. I do know she reached out to, Pace Plot. I'm not sure if she did.
But that's something that will go along,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
And you're available?
Sign up, Jen.
It's quite possible.
Okay,
Excellent.
Yeah, so,
so you're right, you might very well get away with something less expensive. Well, and I guess it's good news, bad news. If you had to find out that you got less grant, now's the time to find it out, not
Yeah.
later on, right?
yeah,
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you think you can run it for that,
I think we can, for sure. You just have to cut back on some of the equipment, right? That's all. Yeah.
That'll be nice to see.
yeah.
For sure.
Okay,
Okay, thank
Excellent.
you.
okay, let's move on then to number 17. Aqua expenditure request and approval to proceed. It's at the bottom of your page.
Okay.
Good old life of the water.
Okay, so I do believe Tammy just submitted this, even since she's been on. So I haven't spoken to Patrick myself, but it looks like it's to replace the obsolete chlorine analyzer, as the parts are no longer available. So he is asking for an expenditure of $9,101.
Is it not working anymore?
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we not analyzing the chlorine currently?
Fine.
This,
Yeah, I know.
wow.
It's just like.
So this is, oh my God, I know, this is a capital expense for the water plant that she does need approved immediately, is what I'm getting from this.
Correct.
But then I thought the same thing, so,
Yeah.
I think this is
On
a
chemical analyzers, you frequently have to have them calibrated to detect the chemical they're supposed to detect. So if the parts are no longer available, at some point this piece of equipment will probably no longer be able to be calibrated, and we will have to replace it.
They could be analyzing with handhelds too, right now.
Yeah.
This could be an inline, well, obviously this is inline.
Yeah.
And she needs this approved tonight.
Yes, please.
Okay, but in the future, could they like write a little more info in the work details if they're gonna ask for these last minute things?
I'm sure if Tammy was here, she would have explained it way better than what I am. Yeah.
But should she have to?
Well, no, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know.
Ask for more detail. Okay.
but you're looking for this for 2025, and this is a pre-approval. Put that in 2025 pre-approval. Because if we say yes to this, we're bound to it.
The folder certificate.
Hey?
What's the folder certificate?
Jay.
Tammy says this is something we have to do.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have to trust him.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's anything to do with water.
And
There's a tag to it too.
Yeah,
It's just annoying.
thank you.
But just so that when you're working on, when you're filling out the procurement, you're gonna want to denote this as 2025 capital, so they don't run it through operating on it.
Okay. Thank you.
Because that'll mess up your numbers for sure.
Okay.
Okay, move on to communications, Lake Superior High School, bursaries.
Looks different.
Okay,
Said it looks different. It's different what? They updated. Do we vote 2 last year or just 1?
Well, we only gave out one.
Right. But
We only had one
We
application.
always offer 2.
Oh,
We
Right?
offered 2,
Yeah.
they're offering
Yeah.
two?
we used to do one for university, one for college.
and now it's just 2.
Now
Now
it's
it's
just
a little bit
two.
of prayer.
Yeah, and last year we only had one application.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
I would say this year you'll smaller classes as well.
smaller.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 2 bursaries.
I thought the well, I don't know.
The Schreiber
ratio.
kid class.
Yeah, I don't know the ratio.
Not very large.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, 'cause I
Okay.
thought I'd seen somewhere 17 or something.
Yeah, so
17 is the total.
comes in here
I
17
don't know.
potential graduates from the high school, but they're not all Schreiber.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go with the 2 again.
2 bursaries that we can again?
Yeah.
And those bursaries were how much?
500.
100 each? Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, nothing else.
okay,
I got nothing else.
okay. That beat it. Sugar here. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the open, so resolution 94-25, moved by Council McGrath, seconded by Council Morrow, that the closed meeting resume at this time. All those in favor? Carried.